It is Gregorian Friday, June 26th at 3:21 p.m. here in Bend, Oregon. And it's the day of the sun, according to Celine's almanac. It's the day of Venus, according to the Gregorian calendar. And yeah, we're going to start with this prayer to Mercury. We've got the ascendant at 29 degrees of Libra. And it goes, the prayer to Mercury that we have here goes like this. Peace be upon you, O Mercury, the swift messenger, the quick, the bright-minded, the eloquent, the key of tongues and the keeper of letters, the thought in motion, the clever, the gracious, the curious, full of wit, the teacher, the merchant of meaning, the patron of scribes, the friend of travelers, the carrier of the word between worlds, the agile, the dexterous, the speaker of many languages, the weaver of bridges, the great. You are the connection between mind and mind. You are the messenger of the heavens, the patron of those who seek understanding, the lamp of honest inquiry. I also ask you in the holy name of the Most High. I call you in your names in Arabic Utherd, in Persian Tyr, in Greek Hermes, in Roman Mercurius, and in Indian Buddha. Let your clear light fall upon my mind and tongue. Reveal your spirit within and without, that my words may be true and kind, that my study may be fruitful, and that I might carry good tidings between every soul I meet. And so it is.
So it is. I love that Mercury's Buddha.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah, it's great.
and then we have so many Buddha things up on the side of our altar. It makes me really happy in a lot of ways.
Yeah. Mercury is Buddha and Jupiter is Guru.
Wonderful. I
Yeah.
like that. Yeah, so I have to ask and have to start because you said a wonderful spiel at the beginning talking about the Gregorian versus Celine's almanac. Do you want to touch for a moment on the difference of the two?
Yeah, sure. The Gregorian calendar is the one that we're all familiar with, the one that hangs on our walls and is the apps in most of our phones. That's the calendar that we grow up with. And ever since the beginning of that calendrical system, starting with the Julian calendar, there's been a planet associated with each day of the week.
That doesn't really make sense though, because everything's moving constantly.
Yeah, well, it's this like, yeah, it's this, what I'd like to think of it as is just like the way we track time in a modern context is just this constant flow without any, it's like a straight line. We
Yeah.
track time in a straight line that doesn't have any like variations,
Okay.
you know. But the way that Celine's almanac works is through my research and through the things that I've learned through different teachers, uh, is there's this, especially in Abhinavaguta's Tantra Loka, there's this really great line that he says in chapter 6 that is, the moon names the day.
Okay.
And what there's kind of an implication there is when you're using a solar lunar calendar like they did in India when Abhinavagutta was writing in the 10th century CE, uh, you're you're using the moon to let you know what part of the week you're in, because and so the moon's face, the phase that the moon is in each day changes by a 12-degree separation between the sun and the moon, and that's what gives it a definitive different face. And then they ascribe different planets to each face, and they still go in the same order that we're used to of Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, but but where they fall is based on the moon's cycle.
And the moon does not line up with the days.
Yeah,
It
exactly.
doesn't line up. But if we follow the moon cycle, then it would be order and it makes symmetrical sense.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it would make sense because we would be using, the sun is what helps us see the like major changes in the seasons and stuff like that, but the moon is what changes on a daily motion.
Why something?
I chose Celine mostly because there's this epic poem in something called the Greek Magical Papyri,
All right.
which is a collection of Greek magical texts that are translated, and there's this prayer in there to Selene, who is the Titan goddess of the moon before the Olympians took stage, before Zeus overthrew his father Kronos, and
So this is weird. This is Gnostic.
yeah,
Yeah.
and Selene and Helios were the Titan gods of the Helios being the sun and Selene being the moon.
Okay.
And so that's why I chose Selene, is because she predates the Zeus's Olympians, and the solar lunar calendar predates the Julian calendar and stuff like that.
Sake of conversation, though, for the rest of the day that we're talking, Devin will call the moon Selene constantly. So when you hear reference to Selene, we're talking about the moon and the moon, what phase it's in, and really using that as a structure. So you touched on it, and you could touch on it in greater detail, but rather than basing your model off of purely the position of the sun, though it's important to everything, you're basing your almanac and model off the positions of the moon.
Yeah, exactly, correct. And I'm specifically tracking every time, basically every 24-hour period of rotation of the Earth. I'm tracking exactly when the moon and sun realign every 12 degrees. So you have the new moon is what our common language is. I call it the dark moon, but that's when the moon and the sun share the same position, but not an eclipse. So that's every month we call it the new moon. That's how we all know it. I call it the dark moon because you can't see the moon.
Yeah.
The new moon
The full moon kind of makes more sense for the new moon, technically.
Yeah.
Like it's in completion, it's new.
Yeah.
It's there rather than being completely absent.
Well, the language I use for the new moon is the first visible moon, because that's the way the ancients would have started tracking it. The first day of the month is the first time you can see the moon.
Okay.
So that's actually roughly a day and a half after the new moon.
I'm reading Braden Sweetgrass right now, which you're aware of, and they talk about the attractive comedy by the moon.
Yeah.
It's the moon of this, the moon of that, the moon of that, and it's usually linked to directly what's happening inside of the ecosystem environment.
Yeah, exactly.
And then we talked about at length that with the Buddha, all of his Upanishads and all the holidays are based on the lunar cycle.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's through every culture they were tracking by the moon, and then we just switched over. What year?
Oh yeah, that was like the 48 BCE, I believe, is the year that the Julian calendar started.
Yeah.
There was Julia. The story that we are told or that we understand is that there was political infighting in the structure of Rome, and so Julius Caesar what decided that they were working against him, that they were trying to make his reign shorter by changing the calendar, and that they were just going to add the time back in later, which is a more complex conversation because there is every 3 years there is 13 months, but not every year is there 13 months. So you have to figure out when the 13th month is. But he was under the impression or suggesting that they were just not adding in the month when it should be. So shortening his reign, which he ended up ignoring anyway. But
go to the max.
Yeah. So he shattered the tablet that had the lunar calculations on it.
Okay.
Is the story that he broke it. He shattered the lunar calendar.
Very dramatic.
And then they created the mathematical system that we almost still use today. It's been slightly altered again, but of just tracking the sun through the seasons.
Again, I like that you said create the mathematical system because technically math is discovered, and I feel like that one was created rather than discovered.
Well, yeah, it's like math is made aware to us at certain points, but then how we use it
exactly they created the structure,
like algorithms and stuff. We create algorithms,
100%.
Things of that nature.
So we're doing this podcast, and it's going to be weekly, where we're talking about what's going on inside of the actual astrology. And we have in front of us, and we'll take a picture if you actually have your phone. Take a picture of that table right now, how it's looking.
Yeah.
But to a layman, where are we? What's going on? I mean, what season are we in? I understand the basis of the months and how those alternate, but
so it's. I think that when are we? That's the way I like to
Okay,
pose the
when are we?
question.
Yeah,
When are we?
when are we?
So from an astrological astronomical position, we are in the age of air.
Okay.
So briefly, we track the Saturn and Jupiter cycle, which is one of the slowest planetary cycles of when they like conjoin together and share space. Um, we had their conjunction in 2020, and that officially started the age of air from the tropical zodiac system.
Okay.
And so that's the large cycle that we're inside.
How
The
large are
larger cycle.
these?
Ages are roughly 200 years long.
Okay, so we kind of talked on this for a moment. We can totally put a pin in it if we don't have time to go through the whole thing today. But I made a comment before off screen about the age of Aquarius and how I went from a bunch of yoga
Yeah.
teachers about the age of Aquarius, and you're like, yeah, that's not really good information. But you're now using the word age of air, right?
Mhm.
And so I'd like at least to understand that you're saying ages are real, but the whole promotion of the age of Aquarius isn't exactly accurate.
Yeah, it's debated. And so like and what I mean by debated is that um we have historical context of ages of constellational ages passing.
That are all marked by the Saturn and Jupiter conjunction.
Well, let me take a
Okay.
step to the side to because right now I'm kind of briefly addressing Age of Aquarius
Okay.
instead of Age of Air.
Sure. Yep, I got you.
So the constellational ages that you're kind of referencing when you say Age of Aquarius is theoretically one of the ways it's perceived is about what constellation is happening around the spring equinox.
Okay.
That's one of the ways that it's perceived. And currently, it's still Pisces.
Okay.
That's just what the astronomy shows.
How
There's
long has it been Pisces for?
it's uh, take a guess.
1700 years.
No, it's the age of Jesus.
Okay.
Yeah,
Well, there you go.
yeah, the Fisher of Men.
Okay.
There's a lot of astronomical wording inside of the Bible
Oh,
and,
fascinating.
and stuff like
We'll
that.
get into that about sure.
Different time.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, that's part of that was part of the thing is like it we have record of the age of the bull, we have record of the age of the ram,
Yeah.
and Jesus kind of marked the age of Pisces
Okay.
beginning, and so like basically 2,000 years we've been in it.
Really long time.
Yeah, they did take a long time because the stars move um, from our perspective because of the way that our pole shifts it roughly a degree every 72 years.
Wow.
And if you want to understand what a degree is, the easiest way to do it is because this is the way they used to teach it back in the day. Is if you outstretch your arm and point at the heavens, and this is because all of our bodies are built to the same geometry of what we are, right? That point at the end of your finger is a degree. Okay? So every 72 years, the star shifts that much.
Time.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's one person basically.
Yeah.
You get a degree per person.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. And so it's really slow. And so you 30 degrees in a sign is basically how we measure constellations in the zodiac. And so you're roughly looking at 2,160 years
Wow.
per age.
Okay.
So yeah, they're really long. Now the uh the elemental ages, so we just left the age of Earth and just entered the age of air. Those are based on 20-year conjunction cycles between Jupiter and Saturn.
Okay, those are always Jupiter and Saturn conjunctions. So those are the markers.
Yeah.
When they happen, you switch over to the next age.
Yeah, except they happen every 20 years and so they stay together. They happen inside of a air sign for 200 years every 20 years.
Okay.
So we just had Aquarius. The next one I believe will be in Gemini. Wait. Yeah, we'll just say it's Gemini for now. It might be Libra, but we had it in Aquarius. It's going to be in the next air sign. They'll continue meeting in those air signs, either Aquarius, Gemini, or Libra.
But that's where the 200 years comes from.
Exactly.
Okay.
It's every 20 years in one of those signs.
Okay.
Unless, yeah, exactly. And so we just left a very materialistic age. We just left the age of Earth, which started roughly not too long after the Revolutionary War here in the United States.
Okay.
And we saw some very
We're celebrating
major-
250 years, right? Isn't that the thing?
Yeah. It's so celebratory. but it was very material. We did a lot of material
Yeah, we did.
changes.
Industrial Revolution came about.
Exactly.
We're on the tail end of all of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And air is always associated with technology and thinking and stuff like that. And I feel like
Well, that's yeah. I mean, I really feel that we're kind of at this beautiful jump off point where I think we're going to have a creative revolution. And so I just hold space for the positive. And so when I see AI and all the things, the capabilities that are coming from the new technologies, I see the seeds that were planted during this Earth period that you just talked about coming to fruit that could possibly bring about a creative revolution where we're free to be thinking and actually working in these beautiful places again rather than slugging through the communication mud that we used to.
yeah, 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 that's all very, very possible. And the first conjunction in the air signs from the tropical position um was in 1980. So
Okay.
just right before the internet.
Yeah.
So it's cool to see because this model of tracking long form time
Yeah.
has been being used for thousands of years, and so it's just really cool to just it's such a how do I say this? It's nice that it's simple,
Mhm.
like oh, we just went from Earth to air, and our first air sign was like right before this huge shift
Yeah.
with computers and stuff like that.
Yeah. Sorry to see the information explode out to the populace.
Yeah.
Really have a revolution. All right, so
So that's when we are. That's the largest scale.
the largest scale when is we just entered an age of air coming from an age of earth. And so that's lovely to be, for my purposes, to go, okay, kind of look at what's going on the global level and see and have a little bit of a more, a different lens on what's occurring. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah. Also makes the consumerism being so heavy towards the end here make a little bit more sense. It's been really consumerism heavy since I,
Stuff and things.
yeah,
All the stuff and things.
yeah, for generations,
Yeah.
really.
Yeah. And yeah, the stuff and things and also the extraction of stuff and things from other places in order to have stuff and things in other places. Lots of geopolitical restructuring in order to make sure some people have and some people
Here,
don't.
I have this stark memory of being in Southern California and I was having to clean out warehouse space and I was just bringing dumpsters of trash to throw away because I had nothing else to do with the stuff. I couldn't get rid of it. And so I'd fill up a dumpster and I would drive down to one of the like Orange County dumps. And you literally drive up a mountain of trash that it's like eventually been built up, where it's just you drive up it like multiple lanes. And then there's like 7 or 8 30-foot bulldozers just pushing. And it's just an endless line. You're waiting in line to dump more stuff. And it's just, it has made me cry standing there. You're looking at it, just like the never ending consumerism, because that stuff's just being replaced by other stuff.
Yeah.
It's not like that's the end of it. And it's a mountain, dude. It's an actual mountain in your blood. It's so dystopian. It like blows me away. The memories that burned into my brain.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's definitely it's definitely one of the major issues that we're facing as a
Yeah.
global community that is uh, definitely being fueled by the people who benefit the most from it.
100%.
Yeah.
So scale it down. That's the largest. Where are we at then? Smaller.
Smaller scale, we're in a really interesting time period of a Saturn Neptune conjunction, which happens every 30 years. But it's not as agical.
Okay.
Like we don't track Saturn and Neptune through large elemental cycles or anything like that.
And pause real quick. So we've said the word conjunction a few times. And so
Okay.
can you define what a conjunction is?
Yeah, the conjunctions are periods of time when two astral bodies come together on the plane that is the astral map that we call the zodiac, which is a circle. And so basically the idea is that when two astral bodies, I want to keep it with astral because it
Shut
doesn't,
me on this.
yeah, I can't, yeah. Yeah, well, so what I just did is I moved Saturn and Neptune together. And so
Okay.
basically the idea is that they share the same degree
Okay.
and minute
Yeah, on the circle.
on the
Yeah,
circle.
so we're kind of going two-dimensional for a purpose.
Yeah, well, because the even though the sky that we look at is very round and spherical, because we're watching it from a sphere, um, the way that we anchor everything is on the ecliptic plane. It's all on the road that the sun travels on. Is the way that the ancients would describe it. Okay, the golden road.
Is that kind of like almost infinity looking sign that I saw the other day?
No, that's the no. That's the Analima, and that is separate. What I'm talking about is the ecliptic plane, which is a disk. It's basically a disk shape that we can track based on how the sun moves.
Okay.
And then the Analima is created uh, because of the sun Earth relationship changing seasonally from the northern or southern perspective.
So
But if we were at the equator, if you just live at the equator, you don't see that shit.
Okay.
Because the equator is always seeing the same part of the sun.
Okay. I understand slightly. With Saturn and Neptune conjunction, would they block each other? Would one kind of eclipse each other? Is it kind of an eclipse of a planet?
It's called an occultation.
Okay.
And they can occult each other. Yeah, it would be Saturn.
Occult, like the word occult?
Yeah, it's called occultation. Yeah, to hide. Yeah.
Okay. Is that where the word occult comes from?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's the astronomical term anyway. I don't know which one. I'm pretty sure the astronomical term came first, but
Sure.
we can't
That's just interesting. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, basically the way that works is the closer planetary body occults the further
the further one. Yeah,
Yeah.
it'll always be independent. I mean, with the other ones going the other direction, obviously you don't have opportunity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So on the map of the astrology chart, it's not always going to visually occult one another.
Okay.
But that's the thing about our galaxy, about our solar system, is that the reason why we track it on this disk is because everything is on that path of the sun. They float below and above it, but not so dramatically that they're like super far away. So that's why we watch that plane. That's why we map everything to that plane.
So it's not always going to perfectly line up, but on a degree basis, they're lined up.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. And those conjunction points are points where the two energies of those bodies would be interacting.
Yeah, they're blending.
They blend would be the word.
Yeah. I like to use the word blend or forming together. The image to use in your mind when you think of conjunction is an eclipse.
Okay. When I hear the word blend, I don't think of friction or tension at all. I think of only a positive interaction.
Well, astrology is neither positive nor negative per se, but they do indicate things that humans think are positive or negative.
Okay.
But as a way to frame that, um, but for example, like if you're,
I think our camera mapped over, so now to make sure we're back. Mercury messing with our camera. Thanks for that.
Thanks, Mercury. Thanks for making yourself known. Praise be to the God of communication.
Reference earlier that it's kind of funny that I believe we're in Mercury retrograde.
Yeah, I was about to get as a scaling down.
We'll get there. We'll get there in a moment. Okay, so but with conjunction, we were talking about blending, and you were describing the experience for humans can be positive and negative, but astrologically, do it that way.
Yeah, because it's gonna bring out both the positives and negative significations of both planets kind of molding together, and so
certain planets mold together differently than other planets. So like the energy of Saturn when mixed with it's like different colors make different colors.
Yeah, that's a great way to think of it. Like a palette, for painting, is a good way to think about it, or food. You blend it like adding different ingredients together for different cuisines.
Is the palette consistent across our experience? So like Saturn and Neptune's always a very similar outcome. Like these two colors always make purple, or can it make a range?
Well, each planet is a range, so it's going to be a range.
And depending on how strong other things are inside of the environment, or in the when, depending on the range could be different for each planet.
Yeah, and then that will also indicate, especially when we're talking about the outer planets. So to define what I mean by outer planets really quick is when I say the word outer, I'm going to be referencing anything that isn't visible with the naked eye. So
what are those?
So it's Uranus on out.
Okay.
Although Uranus can be visible with the naked eye, it's very sporadic.
Can I go through the planets real quick to see if I can do that in order?
Sure.
So Mercury's closest, and then Venus, and then us, and then Mars, and then Saturn, and then Jupiter, and then Uranus, and then Neptune.
Uh, you
Jupiter, Saturn,
there, yeah, you get
Jupiter, Saturn.
yeah, you did it in that, yeah,
Yeah,
in the the heliocentric system, yes,
yeah. And so you have Jupiter, and then you have Saturn, and then you have Neptune, and then you have Uranus, or you have Uranus and then Neptune.
Uranus,
So
and
a past, basically, Saturn is our last visible planet.
Exactly.
That's why we use him as the governing body. He's moving slowest inside of our framework.
yeah, exactly.
Okay. Is it a he technically, as we frame it? Not that we want to gender things, actually, before I skip it, but
Well, it's in the traditional text, Saturn is indicated as a he, and only Venus and the Moon are indicated as feminine. But Mercury is in Islamic astrology specifically is a they.
okay.
And then
So it's a historical non-binary figure.
yeah,
Interesting.
yeah. In fact, there's this great astrologer, historic astrologer translator, Kristen Mathis, who has been doing her own translations on something called the Orphic Hymns.
Okay.
And one of the pieces that the Orphic Hymn to Mercury that she did, um, she translated part of the poem to say "gay as fuck" because it was the most
That was the most
accurate way to translate it to the modern
There's some
conception.
words, I'm not going to even say it on microphone right now, but there's some words that, as per the translation, they just make the most sense. And especially when I'm reading like some of the Pali translations and stuff, we're like, do we have to use this word? Like, can we skip this word? Like, I really don't like this word. You know?
Yeah,
Okay, so when we're dealing with the conjunctions, we're having a blending. So
correct.
we were bringing ourselves down. We're looking at right now, there's a conjunction occurring between Saturn and Neptune,
Saturn,
which occurs every
34-ish years.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And the reason why I bring, even though the Jupiter Saturn conjunctions are every 20 years, the reason why that's an outer timing system is because it takes them 200 years to like leave an element.
Yeah.
So
No.
that's
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
bigger frame, and then Saturn and Neptune, they just conjoin every 34 years, and it's in different signs. There's the pattern is really just of their own.
Okay.
And we've only been tracking Neptune's cycles since the last time it was in Aries, which was in 1886.
New planet.
1860.
We didn't have the technology to track that historically.
Yeah.
Okay.
And we didn't know it existed
So
until the 1860s.
that changes everything. You just have a brand new body that you didn't know was interacting with everybody previously.
Yeah. Yeah, it's really fun. There's a great book called Cosmos and Psyche by Richard Tarnas, who has done a very good job of looking back through history and watching the Neptune, Uranus, and Pluto specifically.
How
through
they
the
would have
ages.
interacted based on their now archetypes or their descriptors that we have now.
Yeah, as a way of kind of like reinforcing our understanding of that by projecting back, like being able to use our math, to know where they would have been back in different ages of history.
Yeah.
Watching those cycles, because
That's the interesting thing about astrology is that you can be based on the mathematics. You can look back as far as you want. You can go back in time.
Yeah. Well, we're definitely just playing a trust game for sure. Who knows? Maybe some alien ship moved Neptune and Pluto, just like
we don't.
we're adding these pieces. We're just trusting that they were always there because we know they're there now. And that's just that's the part of like looking back, quote unquote, backwards. It's like and I'm not proposing an actual theory that the planets weren't there.
So everybody knows, by the way, Devin loves history more than anything, and so you'll probably hear a lot of history. And so I would love to hear his theory about the ending planets.
No, I'm fine.
So that is going on. What does that signify? What does that normally interact with? Is there a certain type of person, such as a certain sign, that's going to affect more than others?
It's going to the best way to look at things like that, the slower moving stuff, is if it's happening in your whole sign house angles. So the first house, 10th house, 4th house, or 7th house. And we don't have to go deep into that right now.
Sure.
But because Neptune hasn't really been around a lot, very long to like truly have a pull or a say over what we would call rulership over the zodiac signs. uh, the way that I've been watching, the way that I've been personally watching, and also been taught to watch some of these outer planets is more about like how they're interacting with the angles in your chart and other sensitive points in your chart. Like for us, because we're both Libra risings, this is a really perfect example of how to utilize Neptune and Saturn together because it's in our seventh house of personal relationships.
So seventh house, personal relationships.
Yeah.
That's where it's occurring right now. That's where the conjunction is occurring.
In our chart.
Yeah, and I get it.
Yeah,
I understand. Yeah.
And so, and then what are we doing? We're spending a time of having a one-on-one conversation, which is a great use of a seventh house signification. And Saturn is in charge of history, and we say that Neptune's in charge of woo stuff. So, yeah, we're having a history woo talk and doing like a podcast around those kind of constructs. We're going to talk about spirituality, and
We already are.
yeah.
Side note, by the way, I think we probably should post our actual charts.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that they, if they were curious if we're mentioning things as we're going along, they could at least look, you know what I mean, to see why we're saying those things. I think it's an interesting point.
Oh yeah, no, for sure.
And so
Some people get some people get sensitive about having their chart information out there. I am not.
I just talk about everything.
Yeah.
You should hear the stories I tell.
I'm
I'm not worried.
not sure other people will
I'm
too.
not worried about my chart being out there at this point.
Yeah.
We got facial recognition technology. They know more about me than anyone. So on a smaller scale, going down from Neptune and Saturn, where are we on a season? Are we in Gemini still? Have we transitioned?
We've the summer solstice in the tropical zodiac is the marking of when the sun moves into Cancer.
Okay.
And so
Always, every year.
yeah,
Okay.
that's how the tropical zodiac is anchored.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And what about the Vedic?
In the Vedic system, we are just a few weeks into Gemini.
Okay. So it's a completely different viewpoint.
Yeah, and I don't want to say Vedic specifically because it kind of singles it out, but I want to say more sidereal
Okay.
because sidereal basically means star. Is there's even like a sidereal month, which is where the moon returns to a star. So like if you're watching one star, like we'll say Antares, uh, and the moon occults Antares, it'll be like 27 days later, it will re-occult Antares. And so that's a sidereal month. And so that's why we call it a sidereal zodiac. And then they're not Vedic astrologers aren't the only ones that use sidereal constellations.
Okay.
So I just didn't want to like anchor it just in one.
No, I get it 100%. For a newcomer like myself, I just want to reference and hold space for there's two different systems, you know, and so
3 or 4, but yeah.
Okay, yeah. So there's multiple different systems,
Yeah.
you know, and so you primarily are using the tropical zodiac.
I like to communicate mostly through the tropical
You said
zodiac.
communicate through. Okay, so
Yeah.
each one can be seen as just a lens for communication.
Yeah.
It's the same information just being portrayed a little differently.
Well, yes and no. I mean, there's also the cultural lenses, but for the most part, if you talk to people that are using the astrology that was rooted in Babylon and ancient India, which is the system that most of us know and are comfortable with when we talk about our sun signs, um, we're all going to agree that like Mars equals war or
Okay.
Mars equals aggression or conflict or competition.
Okay.
So like that is the similarity.
Sure.
And same with the expression of the signs themselves. The structure of when is what starts getting debatable because of how we talked about the precessional cycle of the ages.
Yep.
That's what sidereal is anchoring their structure of the zodiac to the precessional cycle,
Okay.
whereas the tropical zodiac is anchored to the Earth Sun seasonal cycle.
Okay. And you find the tropical to be smoother for communication.
It's smoother for temporal seasonal stuff. Like I'm still going to garden by the tropical zodiac.
Yeah.
Things that happen here on Earth, around us every day, they're to me they happen in the temporal framework that the tropical zodiac happens in.
Yeah.
The timing systems that I use, I prefer them in the tropical zodiac. However, the storylines, the meat of the expression of the stellar sphere is definitely felt. Like we don't, um, as a tropical foundational astrologer, uh, mostly through like the Hellenistic period lens, which is the second century BCE. Uh, we're not going to say that Antares is still at 15 degrees of tropical Scorpio.
You said Antares multiple times. I have no idea what Antares is.
So Antares is the name of a star, and it's the heart of the Scorpion.
Okay.
And I'm mentioning it because the moon is approaching it within the next 12 hours. So.
The Antares isn't always relevant. It's just the one you're using as an example.
It's the one I'm using as an example.
I was just curious.
Yeah. And so when we're looking at the one of the ways that we're able to blend the stellar sphere with the tropical sphere is through the degrees on the zodiac itself. So to when I'm looking at through the tropical lens and I'm thinking about the stars, the heart of the Scorpion constellation, I call it the Scorpion constellation, not the Scorpio constellation, as a way of like differentiating, or like the twins instead of the Gemini.
Right.
Um, uh, the heart of the Scorpion on the tropical zodiac is at 10 degrees Sagittarius now.
Okay.
So we're able to allow the stellar sphere to continue moving while holding the temporal sphere, the Earth.
Is the how do you pronounce it again?
Sidereal.
Sidereal. The sidereal is staying with the stars, and so technically your calculations are changing based on how the stars are moving, rather than our experiential perspective from the Earth.
Yeah,
yeah, I'm understanding to a point. But I just want to hold space where there are different systems, and so you're going to hear different viewpoints at different times. That doesn't mean that one is right and one is wrong. It's just different communication points.
Exactly, and I really want to hold space for the fact that like I'm not going to sit on a pulpit or stand on a pulpit or jump off a cliff and say that like one is right over the other. We're talking about the ability, just the fact that that we have the ability to hold the stellar, the cosmos, into our consciousness and be able to see its beauty and reflectiveness in our daily lives, in the expression of the world around us. There's no way any one human system is going to be able to compose that perfectly.
No.
And I can't wait to learn more about Jyotish and maybe even become a Jyotishi myself, which is the Indic word for astrologer.
And you're taking classes in a lot of that discipline right now.
Yeah, exactly. So I am not, going to say that one is right and one is wrong. I am going to use the tropical system for my temporal way of looking at time because of the beauty that is the Earth Sun Moon relationship and how perfectly it's expressed through the tropical zodiac.
Wonderful.
Because like for example, one of the reasons why we call it the tropical zodiac is because of the solstice and equinoxes. Those tropical points are the cardinal signs: Aries, Cancer, Libra, and Capricorn, that mark the beginning of each season. And so it's just this. So when you look at the Analima, when you look at it, you know that the most southern point is Capricorn and the most top point is Cancer, and it's just the cycle that continues going. Yeah.
So we are entering into Capricorn, you said, because the summer or Cancer. Summer solstice goes to Cancer. Every year we're moving into Cancer. What does that mean?
Oh,
what's going on? What is?
Yeah. Well, I mean, okay. The thing that I love that comes with the Cancerian energy of the sun is we're talking about the height of the summer heat.
Yeah, I don't like it.
I know, but the plants love it.
I don't like it.
It's what helps grow our summer.
A certain point you just look it. Like you just need air conditioning. You can't dress for the heat. It's just miserable.
Yeah, no, totally. But what I was alluding to is that like something that comes with Cancerian energy, Cancer sun energy, Cancer rising, Cancer moon energy, is nurturing. Yes, you have a Cancer moon. Is this concept of nurturing, and the sun is actually like giving its most to the Earth
I get
in
it.
the northern hemisphere at this time, and it's what we have a common saying in North America that's knee high by July for corn, and in order to get that, we need that sun, that boost from the sun. We need those ripe, lush tomatoes from the sun
You live in the
ripening
right
them.
area. If you
Yeah,
live in the desert, you're roasted to death.
yeah,
I don't know if the Hopi would necessarily agree with you. All of their stuff is all about the rain.
yeah, but
Yeah.
well, it's yeah, exactly, and that's the cultural lens. It's
Yeah, of
so
course.
super
Yeah, yeah,
important,
it's,
you
it's
know.
it's just funny. But so that's the strength of the sun. It's very energizing season. I'm
Yeah,
hearing it's
yeah,
very nurturing season.
nurturing sunlight. Yeah,
Okay, all right. Very long days.
yeah, long
Yes, you have
days.
a lot of activity going on during the season every year.
Yeah.
Okay, what is the Cancer sign? What is Cancer? I mean, what is the dominant characteristics of Cancer?
Caring, nurturing,
Okay,
keeping safe, holding.
so if you were a Cancer, you would have those types of personality traits.
Yeah, those are the psychological personality traits that
Sure.
get associated with cancer. Yeah, this ability to be aware of people's needs and have a desire to provide and support them in
So
those
it's Mabel a
situations.
Cancer, July 4th?
Yep,
Okay.
yep.
She does like Cancer. Mabel's my daughter. She's much. Okay, so moving into Cancer, but there's a lot of others. I know there's a lot of other stuff going on. So what else is occurring inside of the when that is interacting with that Cancer?
Yeah, so I think the most important thing that we can just kind of like scale into now is the fact that we're approaching a full moon.
Okay. Is the moon happy or mad right now?
Uh, the current placement as of this recording of the moon is in the first decan of Sagittarius, tropical Sagittarius, and it doesn't mind being there.
Okay, so it's neutral.
Yeah, it's neutral.
It's
Yeah.
neutral. Yeah.
But by the time it reaches the full moon state, it's going to be in the first decan of tropical Capricorn, and it doesn't necessarily have the same ability to nurture when it's in Capricorn as it does when it's in Cancer.
Why?
Um, Capricorn is so Cancer is a water sign that is about the moving waters. It's about emotional content. And it's also the what we consider to be the moon's domicile, its home.
Okay.
Is Cancer.
So the moon's favorite house is Cancer.
Yeah, its two favorite houses are Cancer and Taurus. Mostly
Okay.
Cancer because that's its domicile,
Okay.
and then it gets to have a lot of fun in Taurus.
Okay. So that's the party in Taurus.
It likes to be nurtured in Taurus instead of doing the nurturing.
Okay, okay. It's the
Yeah.
little spoon in Taurus.
Yeah,
Yeah, okay.
exactly. Yeah, it gets to it gets to imbibe more instead of just
Sure.
be the host.
Okay. And I want to reference back to this a little bit more, but keep talking. Go.
Yeah. So Capricorn, on the other hand, is a sign that cares more or has more inclination towards achievement and is more goal oriented. Cancer and Capricorn are both cardinal signs, so that means that they're both into doing things and moving. Um, but Cancer's more concerned about making sure that the emotions are balanced, whereas Capricorn will tend to bypass emotion in order to achieve. And what we end up with is maybe the less nurturing side of the moon, is a way to say it. People that have Capricorn moons tend to forego their personal needs in order to achieve what they want to.
Okay.
And so that's kind of like this doubling of like the sun is doing so much nurturing to the plants below, but it's also really hot,
Yeah.
so it's that kind of like the sun is there, and then the full moon every year is in this Capricorn situation where it's also caring a lot more about.
Conjunction.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. The Capricorn full moon is always during the Cancer sun season.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this is a typical little phase that we're going.
Yeah, yeah, because the full moon is so we just finished talking about a conjunction. The full moon is our representation of an opposition,
Okay.
and so
Find that.
Cancer, the sign of Cancer. An opposition is when you are on the opposite side
Okay. So
of the board.
okay, so
Of the
rather
wheel.
than being okay, I understand.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So instead of being holding the same degree, you're
Because
holding
the
the
sun is a
opposite degree.
mirror.
Exactly.
So it's whatever's reflecting off this moon's surface. I mean, not the sun's mirror, the moon is. So Selene is reflecting whatever's directly across from them, and that is what is giving the flavor to the energy.
Yeah, or the when you're using this with other planets, it's when so if we think about the full moon for a second, the full moon rises while the sun is setting, and so there's this like both being an equal amount of light and power, but not sharing the same space. So there's a strong influence over one another because even though we as moderns see the moon as being reflective, we should also think about it as casting its own light and rays.
Okay.
And so it's the sun is influenced by the moon astrologically as much as the moon is influenced by the sun. It's not simply a mirror.
Yeah.
So if this is happening with other planets too, like if Venus is on the opposite side of the wheel from Mars, like it's the same sort of thing.
Yeah.
There's a tension
Yeah.
where they're both casting the same amount of light onto each other and not sharing the space. Like
Okay.
the moon is up in the sky at night, the sun is not visible, and vice versa. So there's this like tension.
Relationship where you're just like paying rent with each other.
Yeah, ships in the night is
Yeah,
one of the ways they call it.
oh yeah, I've done those before. That's
Yeah.
fun. So we basically, when we're claiming a moon, you're claiming. So I was born with a Cancer moon.
Correct.
That means that my moon was in opposition of Cancer during the period of my birth.
No.
Okay.
Whenever we talk about placements in our charts, we're giving it an address.
Yeah. So that's where the moon actually was in relation. So it
Yeah.
would be more towards a conjunction with that in my chart.
Well, yeah, I mean, you were a Pisces sun, right?
Yes.
Correct. And so your moon was having a trine relationship with the sun, which is a completely different shape that we don't have to go through all
Yeah.
the aspects right now.
But so the moon is kind of that's the actual address of the moon. So when you said opposition with Capricorn, I was just confused for a moment with how that opposition makes sense what we're discussing.
Oh, because that's the full moon. Because we were talking about the full moon. The sun is in Cancer, and Capricorn is the opposite sign from Cancer. So there's the full moon.
So only at the full moon you have an opposition at each full moon.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. The full moon is the perfect archetypal description of what an opposition is.
Okay, perfect. And so that is so when you say it's the Capricorn full moon, it's because there's an opposition in Capricorn during the full moon. And if you said it was a Taurus full moon, there's an opposition to Taurus during the full moon.
Exactly. Specifically the sun.
Yes.
Yeah. Because there can be other planets being opposite the moon as well. So
Yes.
you just want to be very
But
clear.
in general, for kind of a nutshell, that's what we're talking about.
So because what you're doing is you're saying the address of where the moon is, and you're describing what shape the moon is. So when you say there's a Capricorn full moon, you're saying it's full of light and it's in the sign of Capricorn.
Okay.
And then because we're talking about the full moon, there's an implication there that the sun is in Cancer.
Okay, now I understand more what you're saying.
Yeah.
Okay. So why is that important as we're coming up? Is it going to be causing tension inside of people's environment or
Full moons just in general are full of energy. You can one of the ways of viewing the moon instead of a mirror is as a vessel. It's Monday, June 20. Yeah. And so sorry, I got distracted for a half second. So instead of a mirror, a way to think about the moon is as a vessel.
okay.
And so it's filling with light
Okay.
as the time progresses from
Okay,
the new moon. And then so the full moon is the full cup.
Yep.
And my teacher Austin Kopic likes to describe it as a boiling cauldron.
Okay.
And so there's just a lot of energy, active energy. However, the other part of what the moon's job is it's philosophically seen as the last point for all cosmic energy before it enters the earth.
It's kind of like the staging point.
Yeah. Yeah, it's the
The funnel.
last funnel, exactly. Or like if you think about when we use the image or think about how prisms work, the light shining in and then the rainbow of lights coming out.
We could be seen as being a projection of the lake.
Yeah. And then one of the ways I like to think about it is that the moon is collecting all those colors, all those rays, and then transmitting it as a single unified beam down to Earth.
So what you're saying is this projected matrix they make projector.
Yeah, well, let's blow up the moon and see what happens. No, I'm just kidding.
There's an entire conspiracy theory.
I know.
And I'm not going to go into it.
Celine, I'm never ever going to promote.
It's a real thing.
You're
Have you
being
had conversations with people about this?
I have, yeah.
About the moon being fake?
Yes.
Yeah.
It's hollow.
No, what you think?
That's one of the
one
conversations I've had. Yeah.
I just had that it was fake.
Yeah.
They blew it up and they replaced it with a giant thing. And I'll give you this. It does look so bonkers some moments when you look at the moon. Like it's so crazy. It's such a sharp angle of light. It does look so precise that it's like, okay, that does look kind of unreal, especially when you get these really big different moons. I get it. But what I got stuck on, I had a stoner moment when I was younger. I was like, it doesn't spin. Somebody said that to me. They're like, why doesn't it spin?
It does spin.
Regardless, I bought into it for a matter of a couple of weeks. I was like, I don't know. It must be fake. I believed it for about 3 weeks. And then I had a conversation with a friend who I think said similar information, or we learned that it's kind of in a very slow spin because it's in conjunction with it's got a gravitational pull from the Earth in such a satellite position that it doesn't necessarily spin at the same rapid rate as everything else does. Yeah.
It basically spins at the rate that it rotates around the Earth.
Yeah.
So it stays at the same pace.
It was a phase.
But go ahead.
No, continue. So when we're in Cancer right now. We're coming to a Capricorn moon, and there's a lot of energy.
Yeah, a lot of energy. But what's happening simultaneously, and so the moon is like distilling the light, as another way of saying it, distilling all the energy down to us.
And that's just a fun model.
What makes this really different this year from every year's Capricorn full moon is we have a lot of other planetary actions happening simultaneously.
Okay. What are those?
Jupiter is moving into tropical Leo.
Okay.
And it takes a year for Jupiter to change signs, and it takes 12 years for it to return to a sign.
Okay.
So
and what was it in previous?
Cancer.
Okay, so it's moving out of Cancer.
Into Leo.
So first time in 12 years.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's its cycle.
What does that signify?
We're gonna say for now it signifies a shift of where its benevolence is going to be felt.
What it define benevolence?
Jupiter is known as the greater benefic. It bestows good fortune and blessings.
So good fortune comes from Jupiter.
Yes, that's one of the places that it comes from. Jupiter signifies wisdom, spiritual gifts, understanding, collective harmony, things of this nature. Jupiter signifies our ability to contain our reality through a philosophical lens, So understanding is a really big part of Jupiter. And that's where, to me, that's where a lot of Jupiter's good fortune comes from.
It's the knowledge and the understanding.
Yeah, exactly. Specifically the understanding, because it doesn't necessarily have to be knowledge.
But you make good decisions when you understand things.
Exactly. It's easier to achieve a goal if you understand that goal.
100%. If you don't know what you're making, then it's kind of difficult to make.
Yeah. Whereas
what does Leo signify?
So Leo signifies...
Does he like Leo?
Yeah, Jupiter likes being in Leo. Not as... it isn't tracked as being as beneficial to the general populace as it is when it's in Cancer. In Cancer, it has a condition called exalted.
Okay.
And that just basically means...
The words are so dramatic.
Yeah,
I like it.
They are. You should read the actual text. They're very hyperbolic.
Yes.
This planet here will signify death and destruction at sea. Lots of really dramatic inclinations, which sometimes come true. But the Jupiter exalted in Cancer.
For 12 years, we've been exalted.
No, for 1 year. It takes 12 years for it to do the zodiac.
Oh, okay.
It spends 1 year in each sign.
Oh, okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, that's different.
Yeah.
That's So we were just in Cancer for a year. Now we're
Yes.
moving into Leo for a
Now
year.
we're moving into Leo for a year. And one of the reasons that I like to think about when Jupiter is exalted in Cancer is that Jupiter can be very verbose and very big and grandiose. And sometimes it's hard to pay attention to the small stuff when you're on that scale. And so, what I like to say about Jupiter and Cancer is that it brings meaning and depth and care to Jupiter's big picture. So it's like getting a hug from a really big, soft, cuddly person.
Okay.
That's what Jupiter in Cancer is like to me.
What's Jupiter in Leo like?
Jupiter in Leo is more verbose and it's a fire sign instead of a water sign. Water signs are emotional. Fire signs are filled with willpower.
Okay.
And Leo is custodianed or ruled by the sun. So you're obviously dealing with a completely different like set of frameworks because we're talking about moving from a moon ruled sign, Cancer, into a sun ruled sign. So you're talking about more active energy.
Yep.
And so it's going, but Jupiter likes being in fire signs because it likes to be active. It likes to be adventurous.
Sure.
Exploration is part of Jupiter, you know. So it's not just about expanding the mind; it's expanding what you know by getting into what you don't know.
Okay.
And so in Leo, we're going to see a style. You know, Leo is a signature for leadership because the sun is our general cosmic symbol for leaders, and so we might see more verbose leadership styles and very loud actors. You know,
we see a lot of that currently. Because it can get louder.
well, I mean, it depends on who you're talking about.
That's bad.
I think that if we look at the current sitting administration in the United States here in 2026, we're being led by a Leonine figure. Donald
Yeah.
Trump is a Leo rising chart, but he has Mars in Leo.
Did you
So
guys know his birth chart to a T? Does somebody know the time he was born?
Yeah, we have his chart.
Okay.
Yeah, astrologers.
We have his chart.
Yeah.
You know your chart.
Yeah, astrologers have been talking about Donald Trump's chart for a long time, and especially when he entered the political sphere. But when you have Mars in the first house in Leo, that makes you more assertive and dramatic in a confrontational way.
Mm-hmm.
Jupiter is not confrontational.
Yeah.
Jupiter is more inviting.
Yes.
Jupiter is like an extremely inspirational speaker in an
Could that
auditorium.
be seen as having more charismatic leadership?
Yeah, charismatic.
Okay, that's a better word than verbose.
Yeah,
You know?
well, the
Yeah.
verbose is going to come too because Mars is going to travel through there. Mars is going to go retrograde there next year, but
We'll get there.
yeah, we'll get there. But yeah, like there's going to be verboseness there, but Jupiter as a Leonine figure is definitely going to be the encouraging, like wisdom seeking.
And we're coming into the midterms.
Yeah, and we're coming into the midterms.
We should just to bring everything back because the whole point of a lot of this is that it is so three-dimensional.
Yeah,
which is hilarious. Like how we can really make it all together.
Yeah.
And so anyway, let's move on to what else we have going on.
Yeah, there's a bunch. There's a lot going on with this, specifically with this full moon, because
Quick pause. Sake of checking on our screen to make sure that we weren't being complete amateurs and losing all of our footage. Continue.
Yeah, so we were just talking about Jupiter and Leo, but we wanted to talk about the other stuff that's happening with this full moon on June 29th, 2026. We also have Mercury stationing retrograde.
Okay.
And
how often does this happen?
I know.
it's like I hear about it every 30 days.
I mean, yeah, because it's become such a clear part of the cognitive consciousness and awareness that like people are just randomly blaming Mercury for things, which is fine. He likes that. They like being blamed for trickster antics. It's not something that they wouldn't enjoy. Every culture has their trickster god, and Mercury is astrology's trickster god. Yeah.
What is how often does it actually occur?
Pi.
Okay.
3.14 times a year.
That's so weird. I mean, it's to look at we're further conversation on different days. We'll talk about how Pi and Mercury and the Platonic space all can interact with each other in a very fascinating way.
Yeah.
But
So it's every 3.14. Yeah.
how long are we retrograde for?
The retrograde cycle itself is roughly 6 weeks. But there's longer scales of like watching the storylines unfold.
When did it start and when is it ending?
See, the shadow period started, I believe it was June 14th, is when Mercury passed the degree that it's going to return to. That's when the shadow means is basically Mercury meets. We'll say it was like 5 degrees of Cancer. I don't remember exactly off the top of my head, but so that's the degree that after Mercury stops and then goes backwards, it's going to stop at 5 degrees Cancer again. And so when Mercury initially passes that degree, we call that the shadow phase. Uh, and then we start watching, as everybody should. To me, the definition of an astrologer is somebody who just pays attention.
You're just being conscious.
Yeah, it's just being conscious of the astrology in the world and like just watching it, being observant. Astrology is built on observation. And so that's when the shadow period starts, and then the actual station happens, which is what's happening during the full moon, during the Jupiter moving into Leo on Monday. And that's what we call a point of phasis. It's a loudspeaker point.
Okay.
And if you think about it,
Loudspeaker. So it's the communication louder.
yeah, the communication's louder. It's just like the stationing points for the planets is equal to, and this is how I always like to relate things. Is like is through the sun and moon. A lot of our astrological understanding is built on this sun moon earth relationship. And so when the sun stands still, we have the summer solstice or the winter solstice. When the planets stand still at their retrograde cycles, the phasis, it's the same concept. It's this point of
Energy.
highest energy, highest culminating point, and then a return.
Yeah.
And so that's what's happening. You can link those together.
So what does Mercury in relation to all these other things mean? Having these phases occurring simultaneously, but when?
Well, it's interesting too because like it's happening in Cancer. So the sun is in Cancer. It's projecting this light on the full moon from Cancer. Mercury is in Cancer. Mercury is our planet. One of the reasons why people are so aware of Mercury retrograde these days is because of how much we live in Mercury's sphere. And what I mean by that is Mercury rules technology, communication, the internet, microphones, phones, cell phones,
All the platonic
like
things.
just everything that we use to it rules cars and transportation and the mailing system and ships carrying shipping containers and airplanes carrying people. Like you hear about people's flights getting canceled or rearranged or their cars breaking down or their cell phones dropping into toilets. These types of hijinks are what to expect during Mercury retrograde, especially water stuff this time since it's happening in a water sign. The elements of the signs are important.
How long does it last? I'm trying to think of what I'm doing.
It exits shadow around August 6th.
There's so much stuff in between there.
We all do.
But I'm at the fair. I have a wedding.
Yeah.
I have a ton of like extreme social events.
Yeah.
Like one after another. So is that something that Mercury can signify as well, or where is that coming from?
Well, I mean, yeah, and this is where we would go to the person's individual chart.
Then let's skip that for now.
Yeah.
But for Mercury retrograde, so 6 weeks started on the 14th. You've mainly said negative things. And so what I'm curious is there positives that are coming out of Mercury retrograde ever?
Well, what I've been mentioning are the loud things.
Okay.
That's
I know you don't like positive and negative, so I'll get better at that language. So you've noted a lot of things that are disruptive.
Yeah, disruptive is a good way to say it. Yeah. I think so. One of the things, and I'll switch, you'll hear me vary between think, feel, and those types of constructs. I like to use loud concepts because they're when I'm describing something because it's not as a way to create fear. It's just a way to create signals for people to watch out for.
Yes, they're very noticeable.
They're noticeable, yeah. The ways that Mercury is great to use in retrograde in other ways is like um, maybe restructuring a song, restructuring the contracts that you're working on, restructuring the Mercury retrograde is a great just put the re suffix in front of something.
Yeah, basically, I just did an entire meeting with a guy earlier to restructure my whole plan for the next 6 months.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
That's kind of fun. We just had like wrote it all out on paper in different colors, and just like restructured everything.
Yeah, and you might redo it again before August 6th.
And I'm doing my mind map right now. I'm redoing my mind map. I'm continuing to like make edits on some of these formats I'm creating for different, processes. And I literally just was formatting and learning how to format on Ableton last night.
Yeah, and Mercury signifies the mind and the way we think and stuff like that. Yeah. And so and then we need to take the context in about the moon, since it's a moon ruled sign. And so we might be reworking the way that we feel about things. We might be feeling differently about decisions that we've made and things of that nature. It is a disruption. It is a disruption to the normal order. That is the way to think about the inner planet retrograde cycles. Is if you're watching the starscape every night, all the stars and the sun and the moon, everything, they rise in the east and they set in the west. Mm-hmm. The way that the Mercury, Venus, Jupiter, Saturn, and Mars make themselves known is their natural inclination is to go against that tide. That's their normal path, is to go the opposite direction. That's one of the reasons why they're so noticeable to the ancients by the line of sight.
It's the only thing that's going the opposite direction.
Exactly. And so then when the retrogrades happen, they get caught in the field and of the rest of the stars and move
in the same direction, which would be extremely noticeable.
Exactly. And so it's disruptive and noticeable. And so it interrupts the flow of the cosmos, the natural order of things. Mercury specifically, even wilder, it only exists in the twilight periods. Like we only visually see it in the twilight periods, so dawn and dusk.
Very shady.
Yeah, it's hard to catch with the line of sight. So when it goes retrograde, it's in the nighttime sky, and then it disappears, and then appears in the morning sky when it comes back. And then it stations direct, disappears from the morning sky, and reappears in the night sky. So that's a lot of motion. That's a lot of out of the normal motion.
Question for you. So all the legends of the Buddha and so many legends of enlightened beings talk about them seeing a certain star in the sky upon the day of their enlightenment. They were meditating and they looked up and they saw the star of understanding, which I believe I looked up and was maybe Venus, but it could be Mercury. But there's a very specific star that they mention over and over again. And so I'm curious if you've ever never seen it.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know what that could. The funny thing is that could also be Uranus.
Well, yeah, I will have to look it up.
Because and I don't think we'd be able to figure that out unless we had a very specific date from one of those like.
Well, you could just see what they were referencing. You could at least look if they were looking what they were referencing. You know what I mean? Yeah, because they call it a specific star, and then the same star is actually it's only seen in the morning, the sky. And for a certain season, and the same star is referenced in multiple books of indigenous cultures from them, and they reference the same star, and they call it the Star of Understanding, and it's just a thread that I've seen kind of passed along.
Yeah, and that could be either Venus or Mercury because they both appear in the morning before the sun.
It's consistent though.
Yeah, and that's what I mean. Is like
would it be Venus, or they both do consistently appear in the morning?
So Venus's retrograde cycle does the same thing, and is part of where we get the word Lucifer from.
Because it falls.
Yeah, because it falls back towards the sun.
Sure.
Venus's cycle is every year and a half. Mm-hmm. Is how long its retrograde cycle is, and then
so half is
half. Yeah, or
3.14.
Yeah, but that's within 1 year. So
Okay.
Venus, the cycle is a year and a
Oh,
half.
Mercury's really quick.
Yeah, 3 times a year is a way to think of it. Yeah.
Oh, no wonder. And it lasts 6 weeks each time.
Yeah, yeah.
So 18 weeks out of the year. That's a large percentage.
I know, which is
It's
why
like 26% of the year.
which is why people shouldn't like think of it as this like doom and gloom thing. I may have referenced a bunch of things that would be
It sounded
disruptive,
very disruptive. Yeah, it didn't sound
but
positive at all.
but it's not like uh 18 weeks a year you might die. It's I'm not like it's usually things that are annoying more than anything else. Uh
So it's like for 18 weeks out of the year, the machine elves have entered the game. Might as well watch out for it.
yeah, exactly. And I think the best way
It's a little
to
hail
enter.
It's a little hail have come. Yeah, they're messing with everybody. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, I think one of the best ways to deal with Mercury in retrograde is to honor it. And one of the ways that you can honor Mercury in retrograde is to play games like Shoots and Ladders.
Okay.
Like because
What nationwide? Shoots and ladders.
no, I mean just like play
Give me some other examples.
just playing any form of
Who
like.
plays shoots and ladders?
I-
No, who the fuck plays shoots and ladders? Devin, like no one plays that.
Okay, I just dated myself pretty.
I have no idea.
But
So games, did you guys play
to the
games?
kids out there though, bring it back.
Oh.
Bring back board games.
I'm down to bring back board games. I'm just not down to bring back shoots and ladders. So they like board games.
Well, yeah, Mercury,
They like video games.
yeah, Mercury likes video games, but the other significations of Mercury is youthfulness. Mercury is
To be childlike.
to be childlike. Yeah, specifically, Mercury is in charge of your terrible twos till your teens.
Okay.
So you're very chatty, inquisitive.
I'm still that.
Yeah,
That's
well,
just me.
yeah.
Yeah.
But
Is it like the little Hobbit 5-year-old phase? The child.
Yeah, exactly,
Maybe
yeah.
just a really good example. Like blah 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 blah.
yeah, exactly. Lots of talking, lots of questions,
What's
lots of
this? What's this?
exactly.
What's this?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so allowing yourself the freedom to express yourself through a childlike lens is a really great way to enter
Artistic
into
expression in different ways.
Yeah.
Things like that. Things you liked when you were a kid. I really love this model that I heard, and I should look him up. He's a wonderful author, and he wrote this entire book on the concept that you really know what you should be at a very young age,
Mhm.
and that if you can track back on your personality at the age of say 4 or 5 years old, and really see the motivating factors that were there, then you have a very good map for where you would be happy later in life, right? You have that, and it probably might astrologically align in some way, but I find it fascinating with my children. I've really been watching what they're doing. Like, what do you like at this age? Where are you naturally going to, right? And it's so interesting because my oldest daughter does not like athletics like at all. She's never wanted to do physical things very much. She's always primarily wanted to do tactile visual expression. And she does some music, but primarily has always really enjoyed crafting and doing tactile visual expression, and so she says, I want to be an artist. And I say, yes, that's spot on from what I'm watching, and it doesn't mean you have to be an artist. That expression can come out in all different types of career fields, right? But it's very tactile, very visual, in its nature. And then my 5-year-old is so much more physical. She's literally like follows me doing my sun salutations and does yoga with me, and she loves chanting with me and doing music with me, and she has this different expression that's coming out. And it's just really, really lovely to kind of watch as you go along. And so with the childlike behaviors, bringing up some of that stuff we like when we were kids, going back to that little me and saying, what did I like to do? I used to love being in the woods. That was like from a very young age, I've never been very expressive with like art or creativity. I always found just like solace in the woods or playing or watching nature or monitoring nature.
Yeah, no, that's great. Yeah, and one of the things you inspired me to think about as like another way of working with Mercury retrograde is do something that dare to try something that you probably won't like. Just so that you said
I love that.
just so that you know that you've had the experience. And also, like, one of the words is rejection. Like,
Yeah.
part of astrology, astrology really likes to get described as like space weather these days. That's one of the ways that people really like to talk about. You're stepping into these energies.
Sure.
And astrology helps tell us when to grab the umbrella,
Sure.
right? And that's kind of a way to do it, but to me, astrology is working at its best when you get creative and you start like purposefully choosing to play
Yeah.
with the energy. And so, yeah, so choosing something on purpose to reject it, doing something out of the box that you would never do before, you know, uh, these are great ways to allow Mercury to express itself through you, to come into you instead of at you.
What have you done? What has been your childlike behavior that you've taken on since the start? It's the 14th. Have you done anything?
Oh, geez.
We're over. We're longer.
Yeah, it's every. I'm really experiencing my life in just a whole new lens right now, and I'm always like just looking for new opportunities. Like I told you about the summer solstice
Yeah.
event that I went to, like I think one of the things that I've been doing that's very childlike is I'm just saying yes without questioning.
Sure. Yeah.
And that's definitely an approach I've been taking. Also, starting this endeavor with you. We've been talking about it for a while.
Actually got to do it.
Actually got to do it today, and some electional astrologers would call us fools for the chart of that we've started with, and we'll see how it
I thought you said the
goes.
chart was really good.
Oh yeah, so good. What do you?
Was it good and then transition to bad within like 20 minutes or what happened?
No, I like allowing so I do like electional astrology, but I don't like to live through electional astrology.
Sure.
So I like the moment that we've started.
Okay.
And I'm excited to see where it goes.
Okay.
Because I don't though it would be like enticing to start something like this with like the best absolute possible chart you could. Um we got a pretty dang good chart, and there's definitely things in it that people might suggest would be not that great.
Why?
Because like for example, starting a podcast
Okay.
uh during the Mercury retrograde
Well, what
cycle.
doing your homie? Like if you look at my life, Devin, it has been a series of just extremely lucky events. It's just been a roll through of like this person just it just rolls. It just completely rolls. So to me, I'm not afraid of Mercury. I think we're buddies. I think me and Mercury have been on the same side for a while. Maybe my chart shows differently, but I don't think it's necessarily bad to have a fun, spontaneous energy. And I know it can be trickster, but we had some technical difficulties.
Oh, and we'll
So
continue.
we continue to do it, right? But I think it's actually can be kind of interesting because we're doing technology.
Yeah.
We're creating during.
We're having conversation.
100%.
Yeah.
This is Mercury in so many ways. We're filming the conversation.
Yeah.
To be broadcast over airwaves.
Yeah. There's definitely great things about the chart for sure.
Well, what else was there? Okay, so Mercury retrograde.
Saturn Neptune conjunction on an angle.
Okay.
Which also describes what we're going to be doing, but I want to maybe take another time to really break down the chart of what we're doing today, because the other thing I definitely need to mention about the full moon is so we've talked about Jupiter moving into Leo.
Yeah.
We've talked about the Mercury retrograde cycle. We've given dates for it. August 6th is when it ends, and we'll keep you updated on how that goes for us.
Yep.
And
enjoying it so far.
And then we have Mars moving into Gemini with Uranus.
Oh, this is the bad one, right? Is this the one that means like World War III or something?
So it's definitely not. It's not. So yeah, the difference between challenging or loud versus like actual negative. The United States as a country has the chart with Uranus and Mars.
Wait. So, wait, real quick. Are you telling me that you have the birth chart of the United States?
Yeah, we have there's a chart that most astrologers agree on to use as the birth chart for the United States. It's a common practice.
What is the sun sign of the United States?
Cancer.
Cancer. Is that good? Is it sad?
July 4th.
Okay. July 4th. Okay, so Cancer sign. What is the rising?
The rising is Sagittarius.
Which means what?
Well, it's a fiery, explorative sign.
Okay.
If you want to take in the imagery a little bit, what do you think? How do you feel about people on forces associated with the United States? What's the first thing that comes to mind?
Nothing. Really.
No, cowboys don't come to mind.
Yeah, I mean a little bit, yeah.
But you know,
Cavalry.
Sagittarius is a centaur. It's a half horse, half human, and it's also an archer, and it's a fiery sign. So you're talking about projectiles and exploration.
I mean, the 6-shooter with the horseback was one of the ways that we dominated the West.
Yeah.
And that was when we were coming into ourselves as a country because we hadn't been born yet. So that was what 100 years after our birth, and so that's really where we're in our growth phase in a lot of ways. And fascinating. So it's a centaur. Okay.
Yeah, Sagittarius.
We came in on the water,
sign.
and Cancer's water, so we came in through the water, right? We were kind of born from the water in a lot of ways.
Well, we would say so let's talk about the rising sign a little bit. So the rising sign is the most you point in the whole chart.
Okay.
And the reason why is because we signify speed with individuality.
So I'm more Libra than I am Pisces.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah. And is a way to look at it. The whole chart is you.
Yeah,
like
again,
you are every part. Yeah. But I just want to say that.
No, that made me understand that a lot more, actually. No, that's also for me.
Yeah.
So, but to zoom back, hold up before we go further down there. So, the United States has a birth chart.
Yes.
Where were we right before that?
We were talking about Mars and Uranus.
Let's go back to there.
Okay. To the now.
Yeah, to the now. Let's go back to the now. So, Mars, Uranus occurring can signify challenges or things of that nature.
Yeah, I mean, and the reason why I brought up the United States' chart with Uranus and Mars in it, in Gemini, is because it's been very important points in our history. So obviously, the 4th of July, 1776, the chart of the United States, that signifies our Revolutionary War. Mars is the planet of war, and we associate Uranus with individuation and radical shifts and revolutionary ideas.
When was the last time these have come into conjunction?
World War II.
Okay. What was the last time before that?
Well, not the last time they came into conjunction. That was the last time they came into conjunction in the last Uranus and Gemini period.
Yes, yeah. So this exact placement of the when.
Yeah, the where and the when.
Was
the address.
World War II.
The sign is the address.
Was World War II.
Was World War II.
What was the one before that, John?
The Civil War. Yeah.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
Okay. Fantastic.
Yeah. And I believe.
And then before that was the Revolutionary.
And I believe last summer, if I'm remembering correctly, last summer Uranus and Mars came together, and that was the assassination attempt on Trump pre-election.
Okay.
Or was that last summer or the summer before? Summer before. It was the summer before. But yeah. It's been a long election cycle.
So how long did this last for? And
Uranus takes 7 years to go through a sign. Mm-hmm. So it'll probably conjoin with Mars 3 times.
So there's
in this 7-year cycle
3 blends of conflict and radicalism throughout the 7-year cycle.
Yeah,
and
not to mention that that's the blend, and then just in the same way that to pair this together with the conjunction, just in the same way that we track the relationship between the sun and the moon from the new moon to the different quarters and the full moon and stuff, we also do that with all the other planets when they conjoin one another. So every time 2 bodies come together, we can then look at their relationship through the rest of the chart because they all indicate different phases of the cycle. So the opposition from Mars to Uranus is going to be just as important. It's going to be basically the conjunction. It's going to basically be like the full moon for them. of the Uranus-Mars cycle.
And so that will also be happening 3 times throughout
Yeah.
the when period that we're talking about. Now, you said it started a few years ago and it's a 7 year cycle, or a few years ago was a conjunction point, but now we're coming into Gemini, which
Yeah,
is new.
yeah. So during the election cycle, I believe it was Uranus still in Taurus.
So, how does Gemini interact with this blending that is happening?
Well, the first thing that comes to mind with Gemini is technology. Gemini is ruled by Mercury, so here we are still talking about Mercury. Praise be. Um, be kind. um, but Mercury is Gemini is the inquisitive sign of all of the signs. It is the most talkative. It is the most inquisitive. It's the quickest to like explore the intellect. Um, it's the most experimental when it comes to thoughts. And then, so one of the things that the US has been really good at as a country with having this Mars Uranus in Gemini signature is innovations of war, innovations of technological warfare. Um,
Which we're seeing on mass.
Yeah. I mean, if you even like think about like the assembly line system, the assembly line system was introduced to its best peak during the Civil War when we were assembling guns.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's an example of like this Mars Uranus innovation, radical ideas, weapons of war, innovation and thoughts, like these archetypes.
Does it always have to be war? Is that the Mars thing?
That's the Mars thing. It doesn't have to be war, but like let's explore war because like that's the so like one of the things that you pick up when you study like Hellenistic and tradition or older styles of astrology is that you like start with the hardest thing and then scale it in.
Sure.
So like playing chess is war. You know, anything that's a competition where somebody comes out.
Just had the UFC fight in front of the White House. Just happened.
Yeah, that just happened. Yeah.
The gladiator battle was officially back. Not negative, I thought. I understand, but there was officially. I mean, in front of the country was representing violence.
Yeah. And Trump is a Gemini sun.
Did that happen before, during, or in conjunction with this budget?
Well, no, Mars moves into Gemini on this full moon.
Okay, so we're not there yet.
We're not there yet.
We're building there.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Yeah, because that's and that's where we get this like natal signature of like Trump's Mars is in his first house with his rising sun, so he is a martial influence person.
Mm-hmm.
You can see it in the redness in his face, the way he looks at everything is a winner loser situation. Everything's a competition. Everything is about winning. And everybody else is, that's his way that's the frame that he sees the world through. And, so Mars is there in his framework. And he's a Gemini sun. So he's just getting this, influence, but Mars is competition. Mars is also, it's our energy that we use to strive for things. We compete with ourselves. We try to get better at stuff. We try to get better than we were last time at something. This is also our place of drive and motivation and where we it's also where we problem solve some things, because not every problem solve situation can be done with diplomacy. Sometimes problem solving needs to be taking a hammer to the thing and really going to town on it.
Hammer is necessary always, but I understand the confrontation can't be avoided always.
And yeah, exactly. Confrontation can't be avoided always, but also the other side of the martial sphere is being able to visualize competition and strategize around it. So this
can avoid a lot of the conflicts by using proper strategy.
Yeah, so engineering is a really good example of a healthy way to use Mars.
Pretty interesting.
Yeah, well, and the reason why I bring up engineering isn't for that specific construct, though that's definitely going to be part of the story. But like when you're designing a bridge, when you're designing a building, you have to think about earthquakes, you have to think about natural disasters, you have to engineer something
that lasts. The same as software engineering. I mean,
I don't know anything about software.
Thinking about it on a more dynamic net.
Yeah.
they're thinking about that you're talking about. So that you have a certain amount of ecological inputs that are going to reflect on a project of a bridge or on a highway, and you have your water runoffs, you have your angles, you have your projections over years, and you have all those things. It's a lot. It's a tremendous amount of stuff. And I think the software engineers are doing that, but working primarily in the cognitive space. And
Mhm.
so it's even more difficult because you're trying to track things that you can't see or interact with. You're projecting theoretical possibilities. And it's kind of crazy. And you're working around what you are projecting is going to be the barrier. And then you actually run into it and then you have to readapt and right. It's the same thing. It's
Yeah, I wouldn't call one harder than the other.
no, so no,
But I agree that it's the same
yeah,
thing.
I was mistaken when I said that, but it is a fascinating concept.
Yeah.
It's very similar. So with the Mars Uranus, we're coming together into Gemini. We have 7 years. We're going to have six major points throughout those 7 year cycle that are going to indicate a peak power point of blending of these energies
Yeah.
inside of the Gemini sphere.
Yeah. And so and then back once again to the moon being the facilitator of reality and it being in a less positive space by being in Capricorn.
Neutral.
Yeah. No, the current moon that we're recording under is neutral.
Oh.
The Capricorn moon is less conducive to its nature. Uh the So all of these three other things besides the full moon. Yeah, exactly. Strict mother is a good description. Yeah.
I remember. It's a lot. I got so much information, man. You pour it out. I try to keep track the best I can.
But yeah, so all of those things are combining together on this full moon. So it's just a lot of different things, and they're going to be the thing that
Tension.
a lot of tension, and it's also the thing that's interesting to me about it is that they're happening in different modalities. So what I mean by that is that there's three modalities, and each sign has one of them, and so it's cardinal, fixed, or mutable, and so each of these events is happening in one of those places. And then, so when you talk about a person's angles, their most strongest points in their chart, they're rising, descending, MC, and IC, or first, seventh, 10th, and fourth house. Those are the strongest points in people's charts, and those charts are either going to be one of those modalities. That you have cardinal charts like Libra rising charts, fixed charts like Leo rising charts, mutable charts like Gemini rising
So it's
charts.
affecting everybody.
So each one of these signatures is going to affect people, but they're going to feel a different version of the severity from one of the different positions. So if you're in a fixed axis chart, Jupiter and Leo's might be the strongest thing you feel. If you're in a cardinal axis chart, Mercury retrograde might be the strongest thing you feel. But if you're in a mutable axis chart, this Mars Gemini signature might be
What
the
is the United
strongest thing you feel.
States?
It's immutable. Yeah.
So that's feeling the Mars and Uranus.
Yeah, the Mars
Which is
Uranus.
not what we necessarily want to
The
say.
Mars in Uranus, yes.
Mars is in Uranus.
Yeah. That as far as like the nativity of the United States goes, like we should I'm not trying to be alarmist. I'm just trying to say that this week is going to signify some important events that take place.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay, we'll
in
call it.
all of our lives.
You're calling it.
Yeah,
Yeah, we're recording it, so we get to see it later.
we'll see what happens.
At what point do we get to petition the president and be like, listen, we need to look at the United States birth chart? We need to start paying attention to this.
No, I'm not helping out there.
Well, I don't even mean him. I just mean future generations.
Well,
Maybe okay, could we take, if it is showing to be true over time, if we can start tracking that the chart is actually affecting, we could start changing our decisions a little bit.
Well, there's nothing telling us that they
big
don't
scale.
already do it because there's already lots of knowledge out there that Reagan was using astrology.
Really?
Well, no, it's not a think, it's that he was.
Oh, okay. Fascinating.
Yeah, there's books about it. He was using
Is it on divine timing?
he was using the void of course moon to schedule talks with Russia, with the USSR, to make sure that like nothing came of them.
Oh,
Yeah.
very smart, I guess, if that's what your goal was.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like divine timing.
And
I talk
then-
about divine timing a lot more.
And it's fun to bring that up too, since we just wandered in that direction. The last time Saturn and Neptune had a conjunction was when the Berlin Wall fell.
Okay. So, and that's occurring currently as well.
Yeah.
So, what else is happening in the wind that we need to take note of?
I think, honestly, I think there's there's some other larger concepts that we could talk about maybe next week,
Yeah,
like
we got next week.
Barbo's basket, which is a configuration of the slower planets.
Is it going to affect anybody within the next week, or can we chat about it later?
But Jupiter is going to be starting to like really create it by moving into Leo. So I'd like to see just kind of there's this thing where it's like a lot of astrologers like to work with prediction, and I prefer to work. I when I'm working with an individual, I'll do prediction for sure because I really love working with the nuance of somebody's individual charts.
Yes, I notice.
But I don't like throwing predictions out to the
General public.
general public because the beauty is in the nuance.
Yeah, everybody's chart's so different, it's going to interact different. So all you can really do is broadcast the general picture
Yeah.
and say, hey, Brad, look out for these types of activities.
Yeah, like for us Libra risings, Jupiter moving into Leo is a pretty positive signature for us.
Okay.
It's moving into our 11th house, which is considered Jupiter's joy.
Okay.
Planets have joys.
Ridiculous with the names.
I know. Domicile,
Joy,
fall,
exalted, occult.
fallen,
Yes.
exile,
Shun, just do a shun.
exile.
It's an exile.
There's
shun.
exile, depression.
Oh, well, that's nice. So the Jupiter is a big move, and keep an eye. We'll keep an eye on that. We'll talk about next week when we come back.
Yeah, and it'll be interesting to see, especially with the slower the bodies go, the bigger story arcs they embody.
Okay.
So like Jupiter
just is one big story.
Yeah, it's multiple layers of stories happening all at once. We have different avenues of our lives. We're not sharing the same story with every person that we encounter.
I actually just had insight recently. I was laying on the side of a river, and so lovely because all I could see up above me was the clouds and the grass blowing in front of my eyes. And all I could hear was the bubbling of the river and two children, my children, playing in the river. And you could bet of any life. I could be any person. That could be any moment, right? Of just a human being laying, listening to the river with these children playing. And I personally believe in rebirth and the rebirth cycle. And so when you start really realizing that it's just one big interwoven story and that we're all interdependent, complete, and in the Western culture, we like to think that we're the main character. And that's where it kind of all fell apart. We have these main character moments where like I am, because in a way that's our experience, right? But when you start to settle back and realize and see the beauty of the interwoven stories, it's really cool. It's really, really cool. And so the larger story arc of Jupiter, continue.
Yeah, and so the larger story arc of Jupiter moving through Leo, it'll be interesting to see how that plays out in Libra Rising's lives. It's going to be hopefully a period of time where we're able to find a unification of grandiose ideas that help us find more beneficial ways of being leaders in the world. For Virgo rising, I hope that it brings a sense of jovialness and joy into a space that can be tiresome from all the concentration and thinking that Virgos put themselves through. For the Leo rising, I really hope that they're able to be the jovial leader in people's lives and storylines. For Cancer risings, I hope that it makes their wallets fat because Leo becomes their second house where we find our resources. Okay. And so, or maybe they bring their spiritual religious practice into their home, into their values. For Gemini rising, I hope that Jupiter and Leo helps them find a sense of community that brings them honor and joy because it's going to be in their third house, or maybe something fantastic will happen with their siblings. Maybe their siblings will have twins, something like that. For Taurus rising, I really hope that it gives them a sense of home that they can really honor, and maybe a new light on their father figures. For Aries rising, I hope it's a boost in their creativity and their ability to explore themselves in an interpersonal spiritual way that feeds their fire. For Pisces rising, I hope that they find a sense of joy in being a uh, point of service to the community. Leo becomes the sixth house for Pisces, and I really hope that they're able to put themselves in positions where they can be seen as leaders. Pisces don't put themselves out into the field very often as leaders, but I think that in the honor of service, I think that they can really find a really honorable role there. And I think Aquarius rising could also do something similar. I think that they could really bond and unify their groups together under a heading. It's hard for Aquarius rising sometimes to find their tribe, but I think that under the right cause, Jupiter can help create a a ragtag group of Aquarian risings that are able to find their tribal necessities and find their cause that unifies them together. I like to think of Aquarius sons as the renegade king, or the rebel leader. Uh, for Capricorn risings, it might bring about a sense of connection and wisdom towards their partner's finances, their partner's understanding, and different values to hold. Uh, for Sagittarius rising, Jupiter is going to be in their house of wisdom, their house of higher learning, their house of spirituality. And uh, one of the things that Sagittarius is really good at is exploring, and maybe Jupiter can in Leo can help find solid founding for their belief systems for them to rise off of. For Scorpio rising, we end up with Jupiter being in the place where uh, they are supposed to try to be seen in. Um, but it's really hard for Scorpio to feel seen in the world. So I think that Jupiter in Leo may be able to bring them that hope and dignity that lifts them into that sphere, that invites them into being seen. And I think that uh, now we've done the whole wheel and we're back to Libra rising.
Yeah, which selfishly, what is Libra rising again? What?
It's a good fortune and groups of people of like-minded associations, and it's Jupiter's joy.
I have another question as well.
Yeah.
Do we want to pull a card?
Oh, sure.
Can we take a break and I can use the bathroom real quick and we'll pull a card and end it kind of that way?
Yeah, we can do it that way. Yeah. Yeah.
Buddy, we just took a nice break, took a snack, and we are going to go over. So the title of our podcast is actually "The Messengers."
Yeah.
Is what we are going to be titling this podcast. And thank you so much if you guys have listened along to this point. It's been really fun on our initial entry. We got it all set up, feeling very confident about what we're doing and happy. And Devin pulled a tarot card. So we didn't go into it in completion today, but a lot of what we will talk about in future episodes, I'm sure, in interspersed periods, is how tarot relates directly to the astrology.
Yeah, that's going to be that's definitely going to be one of the things we talk about. You know, we're also just in general, we're going to be having metaphysical discussions,
100%. Yeah.
and it's not going to be always just like these layered versions of astrology. We just really wanted to start with when we are.
We also might be doing, I mean, I kind of feel into it. I don't know. We have a good conversation. So it could stem into where we have 2 episodes a week going on, where one is just talking about astrology and then one is more talking about the metaphysical aspects of everything else going on.
Yeah.
Because we could produce that much content pretty easily between
Yeah.
the two of us.
Yeah, exactly. We haven't known each other long, but as soon as we met, it was just like just an instant conversation that has like moved pretty fluidly since the beginning.
With a continual stream, which has been nice.
Yeah.
And so Devin pulled a card for us today. And he pulled and we decided to title our podcast after it. And so Devin's now gonna read us the description or tell us about the card.
Yeah, first I'm going to talk about the deck a little bit. The deck that I like to use primarily was actually made by a friend of mine, and they have a company called Mystic Madness Tarot, and the deck that they came out with is called The Journey to Oz and Wonderland. One of the things that I love about this deck is combining these two stories, the story of Alice in Wonderland and the story of Wizard of Oz. It's fantastic because they don't run into each other. They don't occupy the same story frames. Alice in Wonderland is very mystical and very internal. It's like an internal exploration of Alice's imagination and her movement through a funky world.
LSD.
And LSD
Okay.
and uh and other things too, but it's definitely very self-explorative through narratives.
It's the archetypical journey of your inner being as
Yeah,
you're going through these different developmental stages. And we see the same archetypal story in the Bible. We see the same archetypal story cross culturally. And it's
yeah,
just a really wonderful, fantastic version of that story.
yeah. And then you get Dorothy, and also the fact that I love that both of the main heroine characters are both female in these stories, so it's nice to have that energy in there. Dorothy is an adventure. Wizard of Oz is about like going out into a new world, exploring the new world, trying to beat a big baddie and solve a big problem. And it's just more of an adventure. And um, whereas like Alice in Wonderland is more of like Alice solving a puzzle. Uh, the Wizard of Oz is more about going on an adventure. And so with these two storylines, that it really completes the entirety of the tarot, of it being both about how we experience the world through the mental, through our will, through our emotions, and through our material uh, expressions. So then we get the card that we pulled today. So you have the general stack of the tarot, um, and that's just a part of this deck normally. But then they decided to add some extra major arcana cards, and the major arcana are the main archetypes of the tarot.
And what are the governing bodies for the major arcana and the traditional tarot?
Uh,
What do they represent?
yeah, so the original archetypes of the tarot, like the Empress, the Emperor, so forth and so on, they have astrological correlations of the planets and the signs, the zodiac signs,
So
and some elemental.
so the larger picture.
Yeah, exactly. Whereas like the Two of Pentacles has an astrological reference, but it's the first 10 degrees of the sign of
It's
Capricorn.
much smaller.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. So the extra to the major arcana represent what?
Uh, you know, the author and creator of the deck themselves has not necessarily named what energies they portray, but to me, the extra cards actually grab onto those more newly discovered outer body planets like Uranus, Neptune, Pluto, stuff like that.
Now you keep saying Pluto. Scientifically, they've decided that Pluto is not a planet, correct?
Yeah, it's a dwarf planet.
It's
Yeah,
a dwarf planet. Okay,
yeah.
so it's a little planet.
Yeah, and we also have other dwarf planets. We also have other dwarf planets in our solar system that also have astrological significations.
Gotcha. Okay, we'll get to it later.
Yeah, another thing. Yeah, I just opened up
I just wanted to ask. Yeah.
Yeah.
So the card that we got today is called.
the messenger.
Okay.
Yeah, and the card the planetary body that I think that this card is best suited for is actually Uranus.
Okay. Which is interesting because we're having a lot going on with Uranus currently.
Yeah, and so and I also like it because the card itself is called the Messenger. The point of the storyline in this card is in Alice in Wonderland. She's trying to figure out how to get involved with the Red Queen. She's just trying to figure out the nature of the hierarchy of the land, and she gets this invitation to the croquet game.
Okay.
And to the famous, if you've watched the animation version of Alice in Wonderland, the croquet game is pivotal in Alice's relationship with the Red Queen. The off with their heads queen. Off their heads.
No, I don't.
Um, but And so these two messengers arrive, and they have an invitation to the crochet game. So it's a powerful moment. It's a story arc moment,
Okay.
but it's so simple because it's just these two messengers
Sure.
that have an invitation to the event.
So, real quick before we get into it, isn't that kind of life in general, though? How often you're given this pivotal moment that comes from such a just minor, obscure character or event in general? Like these major turning points in your life can come from very small moments.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I can think of very many moments in my life where I could have chosen left instead of right,
Yes,
and that would have set me on a completely different
100% different path.
Yeah, and so Uranus gives us those moments,
Okay.
and Uranus also informs us with the data that we were missing, like these messengers, that helps us be informed about the change we need to make.
What so on a personal level, wasn't I born during a specific Uranus return?
I mean, we all have Uranus in our chart at
Okay.
some point. I don't remember off the top of my head what you're referencing in your chart.
That's okay. Continue on to the book and let's see what we got for our card.
Yeah. And so Uranus gives us these moments of brilliance, these moments of inspiration, and insights that help us become inventive and explorative. And so the key words that they've chosen for the messenger is communication, connection, guidance, inspiration, message, opportunity, revelation, truth, mystery, gift. And then it does a little quote from the book for each card. And so for this one, it says, "For the Duchess, an invitation from the Queen to play croquet," said the fish footman. "From the Queen, an invitation for the Duchess to play croquet," replied the frog. And so then it goes on to say, "Alice was resolute in infiltrating the Queen of Hearts' castle, yet uncertain of her approach. As fate would have it, serendipity guided her to two particular beings exchanging a crucial letter. To her surprise, the letter bore the Queen's invitation to a croquet game. The message: this card reveals the profound role of communication in your current journey. Messages from loved ones or colleagues bring valuable insights. Be attuned to subtle signs from the universe reserved solely for you. Observe your surroundings and heed these essential details. Embrace clear expression and attentive listening, for communication is a sacred two-way bridge."
Seems pretty on point for what we had going on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And also, Uranus, as us both being Libra risings, is in our house of publishing and broadcasting,
Hilarious.
the ninth house. So, yeah.
At a certain point, it's just so on point. It blows me away at times.
Sometimes Ezekiel struggles with fate or fortune.
Yeah, I
Fate or
can't
free
deal with
will.
it. I can't deal with it. All right. Well, thank you guys so much for listening along. It's been a blast. We appreciate it. And do you want to close out with anything else?
No, I think thanks for listening to the
Yeah,
messengers.
yeah. May the fire inside guide you and keep listening and keep watching the synchronicities, and we'll see you on the other side.
Yeah.